because man's task is to make the earth after the model of heaven. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Man's project is to heavenize the earth. Man is made to transform the world from glory to glory, to take hold of it and break it down and remake it after the image of heaven.
Hey guys, Grant here from the Reformed Reset podcast, part of Take Hold Studios. We just wanted to release a short little video as we close out the year. Everything is so busy right now. I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get out another video before Christmas, and then we're probably just going to take a break until the new year, but we have a lot of exciting things coming down the pike for the new year. And one of the things I wanted to do on this video is kind of look back at this past year. Our family had a lot of huge transitions moving back to the States from Canada. And I just want to thank all of you faithful listeners through that time of transition when we, renamed everything and rebooted the podcast. It's really been awesome. And there's a lot of you that are new listeners in the last 6 months or so, and welcome. We're glad that you're here, and we thank you for your engagement and for listening. We love getting your comments, and it's really been an awesome year. The YouTube channel, I think, grown double, and it's just really cool to see God work, and God bless you guys and use us to serve His kingdom. So I thank you for that. If you missed some of the awesome interviews that we did this year, go back and check those out. Early April-May timeframe, we interviewed Dr. Pastor, author Yuri Brito. I talked to him about James Jordan and Abraham Kuyper. So go back and check out that video with Dr. Yuri Brito. And then I interviewed Dr. Glenn Sunshine in the summer, talking about his book Slaying Leviathan, on a Protestant idea of resistance theory and limited government. It's a wonderful interview. Dr. Sunshine is incredible. And then at the end of August, early September, we did an interview with pastor and author Doug Wilson. Always awesome to interview him and to get his insights into many different things. We talked to him about all sorts of things. So if you missed any of those, go back and check out those interviews. More interviews are coming. I love interviewing people that have impacted my life, my theology, and my faith. And the other thing that we are probably going to make a trend here is that whoever we interview, I want to be able to do a giveaway linked with those interviews. So stay tuned for that in the new year. It's going to be awesome. And actually, just thinking of that, I already came up with an idea. So, you guys, it's going to be good. But this year has really, truly been a blessing. And we look forward to next year and just to see what God will do with our little podcast here next year. So in the last couple of Christmas Carol episodes, I kept mentioning the church calendar and how I at least wanted to say something about that before Advent season ended. So I'm not going to go into too much depth about the church calendar. I didn't grow up practicing the church calendar except maybe for Christmas and Easter, so that may be your experience. Growing up in the faith is Christmas and Easter is pretty much what you celebrated. Maybe your church also did something like Palm Sunday or Good Friday service. It just depends on the tradition that you grew up in. In the Reformed tradition, there are still varying views about whether you should practice the church calendar or not. Many of the Puritans in England and other parts of Europe as well thought that it smelled too much of Rome, and so that it needs to be ditched altogether. So no holy days, no feast days, none of this festivals, none of that. We have the feast day in the Lord's Day every single Sunday. We don't need to have any other holidays or anything. All right, fair enough. And these would be the hard-line regulative principle of worship holders. Many of the Covenanters would be this way. And so anyway, you still find that within the Presbyterian and Reformed circles. However, predominantly, the Reformed Church did away with a lot of the church calendar and some of the festival days and stuff, but still retained a lot of the ones that were linked to Christ, seeing as Christ is who we are to worship. And so having a day like Christmas, where we just celebrate the birth of Christ, is totally reasonable and something that we ought to do. I think the one thing, at least practically speaking in your faith, that's really helpful as far as following the church calendar, which, if you don't know, the church calendar starts with Advent, and then after Advent, there's the season of Epiphany, and then I believe it's the season of Lent, and then you have the season of, again, I haven't followed this to the T, more of the high church, the high liturgy churches are the ones that truly follow this. There's colors associated with each season. I think after Lent, you have, I don't know if Easter has a whole season, but obviously Lent ends with Easter. But anyway, there's Pentecost season, Trinity season, ordinary season, but there's a whole year cycle. And the one thing I like about that is it forces you to remember that God orchestrates time, that God is the one who controls our time, and that our hearts and minds are always supposed to remember that God controls our days, our weeks, and everything. And so it's kind of a cool orientation, at least, to be focused on God when it comes to the calendar. So I hope that makes sense to you. I don't think it's required that if you're not doing it, you're sinning. But again, if you are committing your time to the Lord, and then even associating it with colors, right now we are worshiping God, body and soul, and all of our senses, our sight, and things like that can all get put into a posture of worship before the Lord. All that can be extremely beneficial, again, with the Word of God always being the guide, though, right? We don't just do something because we like it or because we think it's cute or pretty or whatever. We do hold to the Word of God still as our authority to lead and guide us in that direction. So Advent season, I think, is one of the greatest. I think building up to Easter is fantastic too. As far as Lent's concerned, I don't like Lent. I think we're on this side of the resurrection, and having 40 days of penitential, beating ourselves up, fasting and doing all these things doesn't seem to really line up with the life that Christians are supposed to live, as far as living in the resurrection type of life we're supposed to live in. And I think I'm kind of in the minority with that, but I like the church calendar a lot, but I don't love everything. And I think anything that can turn our hearts and fill our hearts with joy in our King is something I'm for. So anyway, so that's that. As far as Christmas in particular is concerned, Christmas is all about dominion. A lot of people take issue with the fact that Christmas seems to have just been a replacement of a Roman pagan holiday about the 300-400s. And all I say to this is good. I'm glad that Christians replaced a pagan holiday with a Christian holiday. That's what Christ does with us. He takes pagans and then he makes them Christian. And this is what Take Hold is all about. We're talking about taking hold of creation, breaking it down, as James Jordan says in our intro, and reshaping it, remaking it to glorify God. And so we take pagan holidays, we grab hold of it, and we break it down, and then we remake it into the image of Christ, into something that glorifies Christ. That's exactly what we're supposed to be doing. Christmas is all about dominion. It's all about serving the King in even the holidays that we practice as a culture. Now, those holidays can stray. I fully, sympathize with those who say, well, Christmas has become this just big, consumerist trap. And good point. Don't do that, Christian. Don't make it all about just presents and about I have to get that certain toy, otherwise my kid will, right? Like, that's crazy. And so don't fall into the consumerist trap of Christmas. Keep it focused on Christ. Dare I say, keep Christ in Christmas. But anyway, that's one thing that I love about Christmas is it shows how Christian culture in the Roman Empire took over, right? They had to. There were way too many Christians after a few centuries after Jesus that the pagan holiday was not happening. And so they instituted the Christian holiday, and many of us don't even remember which pagan holiday it replaced or which one it, right? All of us just know Christmas. We have to go search books and figure out what holiday was it, and was it on the 25th, or was it when winter season actually starts, is it winter solstice or Saturnalia, this, that, what was it really? But we all know Christmas. Christ took over. Christmas is about dominion. And obviously, as someone who holds a post-millennial view of history and gospel accomplishment in this world, I love that a lot. I want to read to you the classic Christmas passage in Isaiah 9, verses 6 and 7. And again, this reminds us that what we're doing at Christmas is we are celebrating and lifting our glasses high to the King that was born. Isaiah 9, 6 and 7 says, "For to us a child is born, to us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and of peace there will be no end, on the throne of David and over his kingdom, to establish it and to uphold it with justice and with righteousness from this time forth and forevermore. The zeal of the Lord of hosts will do this." With that, from the weaker vessel and myself, may you celebrate the extravagant grace of God seen in the Son of God becoming man, so that we may have fellowship with God again. May you celebrate the birth of our King Jesus with an overflowing amount of joy this year. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you want to help us out, subscribe, like the video. We thank you for listening, and take hold and reorder creation by first reforming your home. This has been the Reformed Reset. Merry Christmas.
But on the basis of grace and on the finished work of Jesus Christ, the project is back and forth, and the destiny of a new transformed world is assured.
Let every heart prepare him room, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing. All right, everybody now in the family key, please. Joy to the world, the Savior reigns. Let men their songs employ, while fields and floods, rocks, hills and plains, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy. Joy to the world, the Lord is come. Let earth receive her King. Let every heart prepare him room, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature sing, and heaven and nature